Yo, what's up guys? Universal Mastery. So what I do on my channel is I break down the occult sciences to an extremely practical level so that you can use them in your day-to-day life and get real actual results. So what I'm going to be talking about in today's video is a very important thing to understand when it comes to spirits. Okay, and this is something that's just very important to understand and be aware of because most people are coming from this perspective. So what we're going to be talking about in today's video is why are most people afraid of demons? Stay tuned. Okay, so the first thing that I want to say is definitely make sure you go and check out my Patreon. On my Patreon, I have half and half. Okay, so half of the videos are going to be geared towards actually getting your hands and feet wet with actual spiritual practices. So for example, I have a chakra practice where I have certain, pretty much certain ends that you say, certain types of words that are based off gematria. So it's like a certain type of, you could say, frequency that you're calling on that's directly correlated to a specific chakra, and it's for all 7 chakras. And what it's geared, what it's meant for is to empower yourself, to open them up, to essentially spin them so that they become stronger. And when you empower your chakras, you open up more opportunity for yourself to just get farther in life, whether that's spiritually, psychologically, physically, all those. It's a win-win. So I have videos like that, and I also have a step-by-step video breakdown of how to do an invocation, which is literally how to communicate with a spirit, which is an extremely important tool that you need to understand if you're actually taking the occult practices seriously. And then I have a balance of other videos that are called educational entertainment, which is very similar to a video like this. This video is entertaining and it's giving you a lot of golden nuggets within it as well. So definitely make sure you go and check that out. In order to gain access to the exclusive videos, you have to at least be a tier 2 member or up. As you go up in tiers, there are different benefits. The benefits get better and better and better, but as long as you want to get access to the exclusive videos, you have to at least be a tier 2. And in order to be a tier 2, it costs $9.95 a month. And that's a reoccurring payment, but literally if you do the math, that's literally less than $1 a day. So there's no reason why you should be able to afford that, especially with the value that's being offered on the Patreon. And every week I'm dropping a new video that will not be on my YouTube channel. Right now what we're specifically doing is we're breaking down the tree of life. So now is a great time to join and get on board with that. But other than that, where you're going to find the Patreon, guys, click the description. You're going to see it at the very first link in the description. It says my Patreon right there, and I want to give a special shout out to the top tier members. Their names are going to be mentioned in the parentheses right below that link. So, and for everyone else that is a part of the Patreon, I love you guys, and I'm extremely happy and glad to have you on the team. And I love being able to offer the value that I can. So other than that, going right into the video. Okay, so why I don't want to make this video too long, and I say that for like every video, but I'm serious about this one. I don't want to make it too long. I want to make it right to the point, and I want people to have an understanding of what's going on here. So why are most people afraid of demons? So let me start off by trying to give like a percentage of how many people I think are probably afraid of demons. So if we take 100 people, I would say out of that 100 people, there's probably like 80 people out of that 100 that are afraid of demons. If you were to ask them one by one, hey, what do you think about demons? 80 people out of 100 will probably tell you, oh, they're evil, they're bad, they're scary, whatever, yada, yada, yada. And then the other 20 will probably either be just like, they are what they are, or, I'm not really afraid of them. And then maybe a couple, maybe like 5 out of that 20, maybe 5 out of the 20 of people that really didn't care, maybe 5 understand what they really are, and that they can actually be very beneficial in your daily life. But so yeah, so that alone, I mean, it shows that like most people are afraid of demons. And the reason for that is, okay, first I want to go a little bit farther back. So back in ancient times, and when I say ancient, I literally mean like 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 years ago. Throughout many cultures, what would happen is certain cultures would have certain gods that they would worship. And to give you guys an understanding of what worship, the word worship means by definition, is a very deep respect for something. So when you worship something, it really means it's a very deep respect. See, in our times, that word has been perverted, and people think it means that you you give your life to something, and you think that's the most important thing in your life. But what in reality, worship just means a deep respect. Okay, so clearing that up. So back in those ancient times, they would have, different cultures would have certain gods that they would worship. They would have certain, you could say, just forces of nature that they partially relied upon, that were guiding them. Just like, most of us in our today's society have when we talk about God, or when we talk about source, or, depending on what your views are. There's a lot of us understand that there is something higher. There is something that can guide you, and there is something that's worth respecting, right? Now it gets a little bit in depth because there's different expressions of that source, of that God that people talk about. There's different expressions of it, which comes into play with different types of spirits, and some people tune into certain types rather than others. So let me go back to what I was saying. So back in those days, when they would, let's say that one culture had issues with another culture, what would happen is that they would most likely learn a little bit about the opposite culture that they had issues with, meaning that they would probably know about what their God was, and they would know about, first of all, they knew about their God, right? Like the one culture has their deity, they have their God, they worship, that's what their culture worships. They're raised to worship that, that God, they're raised to worship that spirit. And then the next culture that, let's say, they have beef with, or the culture that they are, they don't really trust and they occasionally war with, that culture has their own God as well, and they have their own deity, and they have their, they were raised in that culture to believe that deity. So what would typically happen is when they would, have, you could say, battles, when they would have wars against each other, they were, essentially relying on their gods, and and you could say their gods and their skill sets, and whoever won the battle, essentially in their mind, was their God was stronger, their God was better, their God guided them, and that's kind of how they perceived it. Like they were the better tribe, they were the right tribe, they were the one that was the more powerful tribe. So when they would take over that tribe, they would there's two things that they would either do. They would eliminate that God that they believed, so they would just eliminate it. Like if there was any statues, there was anything about it, they would destroy it, and they would erase that God from existence. Okay, so people then, that God that tribe worshipped, once they got defeated, their God was no more. Or they would incorporate that God into theirs, meaning they would almost mesh both of them together. So they would change the name of their God and mix and mesh it with the other name of the other culture's God. And it would be like a mixed name, which is very interesting. So both of those happened. Okay, so this would go on for years and years and years and years, and that's why we have all these different types of gods and all these different types of names and things like that. Okay, so now when we go as far back as, let's say, 400 to 800 years ago, this is around the time when the Roman Catholics came into play. And the Roman Catholics, what they did is they said, there is no, your God is evil, your God is not the right God, your God is not good, your God is not that powerful, your God this, and then they created the one and only God, right? That was what they believed, the one and only God, okay? The one and only. And anything other than that one and only God was labeled as evil and bad and wrong and whatever. Back in those ancient times, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 plus years ago, they didn't look at the other tribes or other cultures' gods as evil, like one culture against another. They didn't see them as evil. They just saw one God to be more powerful than the other, and they would obviously choose their own God to be more powerful than theirs. But when the Roman Catholics came about 400 to 800 years ago, they started actually labeling other types of deities as evil. So now this idea starts to come into play where things are evil. Okay, things are bad. Things are shunned upon. And if you don't fall in line with the one and only God, as they would call it, the Holy Spirit, you know, and then Christ comes into play and all these other ideas. If you don't fall into that bubble, then you can be prosecuted and killed, because you're stepping out of line and you're worshiping, or you're engaging with something that's evil. So this is right around the time when good and evil came into play. Okay, so obviously, you know, there was people that had their own ideas, you know, back in the Roman Catholic times, and they had to conform to this idea of God, or else they would be prosecuted and potentially killed. And what that resulted in was a lot of people conforming to this new idea, and I guarantee a lot of people probably conformed without too much of a pushback, meaning that they're like, okay, well, whatever, we'll just conform because, you know, we want to live, you know, we want to live in this, you know, we want to live here, and we want to be protected, and in order to have those things, we need to conform to this God, and that's okay. So I'm sure a lot of people went with it very smoothly. But then I'm also sure that there was a lot of people that didn't go with it smoothly, and then there was also times where there was a lot of witches, people getting burned at the stake if they believed in certain things. Like, you know, if you had someone that was doing spells, or you had someone that was doing rituals, or even meditations to heal people or to harm people, whatever it was, they were getting burned at the stake because this whole good and evil thing came to play. So, you know, 400 to 800 years ago, this is when this divide started to happen. This is when there was the saying of divide and conquer came into play. I don't know if you've heard that saying before, but it came from the Roman Catholics in the Roman Catholic Church. So now, you know, moving into our time, we still have resonance of that, a huge resonance of that Roman Catholic idea. I mean, we have a pope and everything still, but we still have that overarching resonance. Now things are a lot better. Things are a lot more smooth, meaning I can have my own beliefs and I can keep it to myself, and I can make a YouTube video, you know, sharing this information, and I'm not necessarily going to get prosecuted and people are going to come to my house and cut my head off or whatever it is. So things have obviously changed a lot, but when you go out into public and you start talking about, like if I start talking about my beliefs, and there's a lot of legitimate science and truth to what I believe that can actually benefit a lot of people, but most people automatically have this filter where they're like, no, that's evil. So if I start trying to talk about a demon to somebody that has this Roman Catholic idea that's, you know, stemmed from the Roman Catholics of good and evil, then the second I even mention the word demon, they're automatically thinking evil, and they can't even open up a little bit. They can't even be a little bit receptive to the information that I want to like explain to them about what it really is, what really is a demon. Okay. And to just give you guys a little bit of an understanding, demons have been around much longer than the Roman Catholic, before the Roman Catholics started separating good and evil. Okay, demons have been around for a long time. Some demons were I have a video on it, you can check it out, like, you know, definitely check out like what the video that I have called "What is the difference between angels and demons?" I think that'll give you a pretty good understanding of how old demons have been and kind of like where they came from. But yeah, demons have been around for a long time. They're extremely ancient. So, you know, that alone shows how misunderstood they really are, because, you know, as of recently, if we're looking at a bigger picture, recently they've been separated from good and evil. And, you know, I'm a big believer that things happen for a reason, so there's not any like, it's not fair. I'm not out here trying to like show people like, we got to change this now. No, I'm just shining awareness on what is going on and why most people think demons are evil. Okay, and obviously angels, people don't think of the angels as evil, most people, because the Roman Catholics used angels in their writings. They used angels as being these beings that guided them. But demons were evil, and then they created this level of duality, when in reality that they don't really beef with each other. So yeah, so that's that. But that is like one of the main reasons why people are afraid of demons. Okay, that's a fact. Is because of the Roman Catholics about 400 to 800 years ago. They painted this idea and they indoctrinated an entire society, and it's literally moved up into this society today. And that's why people walk around. They have no idea what a demon really is. They have no idea where a demon came from. They've never even consciously tried to understand what a demon is, but they automatically result to the idea, oh, they're evil because I read it in this book. Oh, they're evil because I've seen Hollywood movies about it. Oh, they're evil. Okay, that's one of the main reasons why people think demons are evil, when in reality they're not. Okay, they're very intelligent, and they can help you understand a lot about yourself, because in reality they are forces of nature, to different degrees, some being more powerful than others, but at the end of the day they are forces of nature that have a direct resonance to the human mind. So they can literally teach you a lot about your own psyche. They can teach you a lot about your own mind and how you operate when it comes to psychology, when it comes to, you know, mentality, emotions, all those things. They're very intelligent beings. So you can look at them almost as like mentors, teachers, guides. Okay, another reason why people are afraid of demons is because of what I just said. On a subconscious level, even maybe unconscious level, people recognize that demons are very intelligent and that they do have a direct link and a connection to our minds. Whether you want to agree with it or not, whether you believe it or not, demons have a connection to our minds. Okay, if you spend your life running away from them, they still have somewhat of a connection to your mind, because they're here on the earth plane with us. They understand us. We carry a resonance of them in ourselves. Okay, whether you want to believe this or not. So you can either spend the rest of your life running away or getting to understand. But another reason why people are afraid of demons is because they understand that concept subconsciously and unconsciously, that there is this connection between the human being and the demon, and that type of energy, that spiritual frequency, if you will. And some people want to live in ignorance. Some people don't want to hear the truth. Some people do not want to learn about what they're capable of, and they don't want to learn about the reality of the decision making that they're doing. They don't want to wake up. It's like the Matrix. You take the blue pill or the red pill. Some people want to stay in that illusion. And when you start to work with demons, they will start to bring you up. They will start to lead you down the pathway to cause you to become a powerful human being. That sounds all great, right? But you have to understand that that pathway is not an easy path to walk. It is an extremely, actually, tough and somewhat dangerous path to walk. But if you are, if you are here in this lifetime and you're aware that, you're not going to take life for granted, and you're aware that you're here for a reason and that you want to make the most out of your life, then you will walk that pathway, because that pathway is going to bring you to the ultimate. It's going to bring you to ultimate states of liberation. Okay, ultimate states of actual freedom and understanding what is going on in the world around us, and understanding how to get what you need to get out of life, and understanding the higher truths of life, the lower truths of life, all of it. Once again, it's a tough path to come to all these realizations, to come to all these understandings, to learn about these things, because it's tough. I mean, when you start looking around and you start seeing what's really going on, it's not easy to integrate within your system. It's not easy to take in all this knowledge, but it's a part of the process, and that's why you have to be healthy. You have to make sacrifices. You have to spend a lot of time in solitude. You have to spend a lot of time practicing. You have to spend a lot of time going out and experiencing. It's a discipline, but it's a discipline that those that, once again, have come here knowing what they want to achieve, and knowing that they're living a life that is a meaningful life, meaning that you're here for a reason, you're supposed to do something in this lifetime, then this is for you. Because if you bypass this, if you put this path to the side of reaching liberation and moving up and coming to all these realizations, if you put that to the side, that's essentially a terrible thing for you to do, because you didn't come here to be ignorant. You came here to wake up. Okay, and there's obviously going to be a balance. Some people are in this lifetime and they're meant to be ignorant during this lifetime, and you may be a specific guide for some people where you bring them to certain levels of understanding, and then, you know, maybe in different reincarnations of these other people's lives, maybe they come to more real, you know, they move higher and higher every reincarnation. But for some of you, I'm sure a lot of you watching this, if you're watching this, you're probably already at a pretty high level where you want to learn what are the steps, you know, what are the next steps that I can move down. I want to really expand my awareness and things of that nature, so that I can be my best self, so that I can live up to the potential that I came here to live. So once again, tying it back into why a lot of people are subconsciously and unconsciously scared of demons is because some people realize what the process is going to be when they start working with them. They realize that energy can start to really transform them on the inside, and then, you know, as within, as without, then their life starts to change. And some people like to hold on to their little comfortable lives, and they don't like to break out of that. So that's another reason. And I've seen people that have been scared to hear about demons or scared to work with them because of that reason as well. So we have, you know, to wrap this whole thing up, we have two main reasons of why people are afraid of demons. One is the one that we were just talking about. They understand that there's going to be massive amounts of change, and they tell themselves that they're not ready, or they don't want to experience those changes, whether that's yet or ever. Okay, they don't want to experience it, and that's their perspective, which I think is a terrible perspective. If you're aware enough to know that demons can change your life, and you're actively choosing to stay away from that, that's a terrible perspective to have. That's a terrible mindset to have, because bad things will start to manifest in your life if you're here to do, you know, if you're here to walk that path. If you're here to become your most empowered self and reach your highest potential, and you're ignoring that because you're comfortable, that's not a good thing, and you will see things will manifest around you that will bring in certain levels of chaos that you don't want to have, and it's not going to be a good thing, trust me, because essentially Mother Nature, the universe, will be working against you until you finally wake up and you realize, okay, I'll take this path. Okay, so yeah, so there's that, and then we have the Roman Catholic idea of 400 to 800 years ago, when they started bringing in this level of indoctrination and all these ideas of, oh, these spirits are evil, these spirits are good, and if you don't believe in our God, the one and only God, then everything outside of that you believe in, that you worship, that you deeply respect, is evil, and you can't do that. You're shunned for doing that, because this is the only God. This is the only thing that is the creator. And that has carried on all the way to our society today, and people still carry these ideas of good and evil. And that also manifests in politics, where people are so strong with the left, so strong with the right, because they're thinking in their minds, they're basing everything off of good and evil. Oh, this is good and this is evil. This is good and this is evil. When in reality, the middle pillar takes you to an understanding that duality is real. There is a left and there is a right. There is an up and there is a down based on energy, but you need both, right? So you want to walk in the middle, and you want to be aware. You want to be the observer of both sides, but the middle will take you to the ultimate understanding, transcending duality, meaning you are speaking from the universe. You could say the universal expression itself of this wide understanding. Okay, so other than that, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I definitely like what I shared on this video. I think it offered some good amounts of value. So make sure you hit that like button right down there. Then come over here, hit the subscription button if you're not subscribed to my channel yet. Then hit the notification bell, because I'm posting videos as often as I can. And once again, go and check out my Patreon. Where you're gonna find the Patreon is you click the description. It's gonna be the first link at the top. Okay, right there. Then go to the second link below. That's going to take you to the Streamlabs merch, where you can place an order to get a Hecate sigil shirt. And when you place that order, they will literally ship it right to your door, just like Amazon. Then you go to the third link below. That's going to take you to the Facebook community. When you click that link, you're going to see a pinned post that says private group. Request to join in that private group, and then I'll add you in. And once I get enough people, I want to get at least 50 people in there, then I'm going to start posting on there consistently. And what I do is I post, things in the nature of quotes, and I'm going to be posting some, written works as well. So definitely make sure you go and check that out. But other than that, I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day or night, wherever you are, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.